Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today we're going to take a look at the Amagi, and I'm here to tell you, because I was on a Discord server yesterday or the day before, can't remember, and I can't remember whose Discord server it was since I am a member of far too many Discord servers, but on that server some people were saying that the Amagi is, quote, bad, end quote. And some of these people had even sold their Amagis in order to afford other ships, which presumably they thought were better. Well, I want to make the case that the Amagi, even after the nerf it got so long ago, which I believe is the, what would you say, source of people saying this ship is bad, even after that nerf, I don't think it's bad, and I want to give you some reasons over this highlight from my Sunday subscriber stream as to why I don't think the Amagi is bad. But first, I want to cover a little bit of news, some stuff relevant to this YouTube channel that happened over this weekend. For those of you who don't know, yesterday, March 5th, was my birthday. And I am now 29 years old, just a single year away from 30. Oh, how glorious. But on my birthday, I decided, you know what I want to do? I want to log back onto World of Warships PC and play a couple of games on that. And so I did. I even joined a division with somebody in my Discord server who also plays on PC from time to time. And I had some good games in that division with him. One of those games was in the lower tier ships. I took out the USS Arizona, and that game, well, as my division mate said, it was a hell of a game. It resulted in 7 kills for me, and basically I thoroughly carried the team there, so I was considering taking the replay of that game and making it into a video, which was one possibility of something I was going to show you today. But I decided against it, at least for the time being, because I sent the replay to the mighty Jingles, and I've got my fingers crossed that he will choose that replay to feature. If he does, that would be a great birthday present for me. So we'll see. If not, maybe it will appear on this channel with my commentary instead. Let me know if you're interested in seeing that game in the comments section. I've also got a game in the Tier 10 IJN gunboat destroyer Harugamo from PC that I kind of want to put up as well, because I'd really like to see the Harugamo come to this game, and I can tell you why over footage of that, so let me know if that's something you want to see in the comments. Also, as a birthday present, I received a copy of Elden Ring yesterday, and I spent several hours during the night playing that game. I was actually considering whether I might want to start a separate save file and play through, and use that save file exclusively as a streaming series. And so, if you would like to see me stream Elden Ring, be sure to let me know about that in the comments too. I would like to branch out a little bit in terms of my content output, and maybe you would like to see that. So, if so, let me know. If not, of course I still plan to make World of Warships Legends videos all the time. But now on to the content of this particular World of Warships Legends video. I began by telling you that, I saw some people talking about the Amagi, saying it's not good. Well, I think it is, and part of that has to do with this fantastically long gun range, and the Amagi, don't forget, has 10 16-inch guns, whereas, for the most part, the battleships at Tier 7 tend to have 9 16-inch guns. The only exception, really, I think, is the USS Kansas, which has 12 of them. And then if any other Tier 7 battleships have more than 9 guns, they're smaller guns, like, for example, the Brandenburg. So the Amagi's got a lot of firepower. It's got long range. I've got the range up to 20 kilometers even on this build. But something I think more fundamental to the Amagi being quite a good and effective ship, at least in my mind, is, well, take a look at the minimap and look at my concealment numbers. 12.7 kilometer detectability by sea. That is because the Amagi is one of the special battleships in this game that actually has the choice of choosing between the RGA mod and the concealment mod in the third mod slot. And that right there, I think, drastically improves the Amagi. It means you have a little bit more leeway in your positioning. You can push in just a little bit further without getting spotted. Of course, things negate that. If a particularly aggressive destroyer happens to be there, they're still going to spot you from quite far away, but at least you'll know they're within 12.7 kilometers if they do, rather than within 14.7 kilometers, and that 2-kilometer window certainly makes a lot of difference. Gives you a better idea of how much trouble you could be in if you continue to head in the direction of the destroyer. And of course, the fun police are liable to ruin this concealment as well by flying their planes all across the map and keeping you spotted. But with that concealment, I think that makes the Amagi sort of unique amongst the battleships in that it is quite stealthy, and that is very useful. Now, what are we doing in this game? Well, our teammates have taken both the Alpha and Charlie caps. Bravo in the center is still open, as it usually is, and we're just sort of traveling toward the center of the map. Why are we doing that? Well, both the Grosse Kurfürst and the Yamato out there are traveling in that direction, giving us a fair amount of broadside as they go, and so we're trying to be in a position to punish that broadside as much as we can. Looks like we do not need to further punish that GK anymore. Our division mate in the Lightning takes him out. Yamato peeking around the corner. He looks fairly broadside to us, as you can see here, but this salvo, not going to be so lucrative. Oh, never mind. We get double Citadel. Well, I was going to say he was sort of angled on the map, so I wasn't actually expecting that, but that is nice. The Yamato is, of course, a notoriously easy ship to Citadel if it's giving broadside. There are some people out there who may disagree with that statement, but it is. I mean, case in point, that salvo right there. And here our dispersion gets a little bit wonky, a little bit less consistent, and this time we truly score basically no damage against the slightly angled Yamato. 68k hit there, or 6,800 hit, not 68k, he'd be dead. But I think that is probably the single reason that people say that this ship is bad, because of the not super reliable and sometimes questionable accuracy of these guns. After all, they were nerfed some time ago because Wargaming felt that this ship was too effective. Even still, I don't think the pinpoint accuracy or even the consistency of guns makes a battleship good or bad. There are plenty of battleships out there that don't have consistent guns that I would argue are good for a various number of reasons, such as the Brandenburg, which initially I thought was mediocre, but now after having played it more, I think it's actually quite solid. And you could never accuse that ship of being accurate. The Amagi is certainly more accurate than the Brandenburg, and more accurate than, German battleships in general. It's just not as accurate as some other battleships, but that doesn't mean it's not a good ship, especially when it's got this kind of excellent range and this kind of concealment. And the hitting power is just so very nice, as you can see from the third and final Pity Citadel on that Yamato. But things, well, in this game, they may not necessarily be going as well as they could be. We're down to 3 ships versus 4 enemy ships. Luckily, 3 of those 4 remaining enemy ships are all cruisers, and I am a battleship, the last battleship left alive in the game, which means I'll be able to do my job quite effectively, I hope, against these cruisers. Of course, the Charles Martel out there turns away from the salvo. I didn't even think he would really know it was coming, but I suppose I am spotted, and that guy is paying attention, so he's going to be a little bit tricky to kill. The other weakness of the Amagi, though, and this is not exclusive to the Amagi, but you're going to see it in action here as we push in a little bit toward these cruisers. We've already taken a shot from the Suzuya, and now we have secured the Charles Martel's attention, so we're getting shot at by 2 HE spamming cruisers, and thus we're going to be lit on fire quite a bit. HE spam is a weakness of the Amagi. It doesn't really stand up all that well to HE spam due to its thinner deck armor, which tends to be able to be penetrated by most HE. Probably not Suzuya's HE, but Suzuya's fire chance is so ridiculous that it sort of makes up for it. And you can see, just after taking a little bit of fire from both this Charles Martel and this Suzuya, we've been reduced to just below half health, whereas we started with more than 3/4 of our health at the beginning of this engagement, and here we're going to run into an island like a wonderful professional potato. But the Charles Martel has been taken out, and that just leaves the Suzuya. Although it seems that we have eyes for the Minotaur, who is pushing around this corner here, and if we can get a nice, juicy, solid hit on him, he is liable to explode in a glorious fashion. We're inside. Yeah, well, he didn't explode, but we did get a Citadel and the high caliber medal. In any case, even though the Amagi is susceptible to high explosive damage, the same could be said about many other ships. There's a Shimakaze behind me, I see. We're going to have to get out of here, turn our guns that way, try to get a shot on the Shima. There are his 15 torpedoes coming right at us, but luckily we're sailing away from them, and we are only going to take one right on the prop shaft, but it's not enough to sink us, so we're going to live to fight another day, and now our 2 destroyer teammates know where that Shimakaze is, and they should be able to make short work of him. At least I hope they should be able to. In any case, even though the Amagi is susceptible to HE spam, there are a lot of battleships that are susceptible to HE spam. The French, for example, which tend to be coated in 32 millimeters of armor everywhere, and thus can be penetrated by HE pretty much everywhere. The Shimakaze deserves to go down, I think, so let's finish him off before we continue with this line of thought. There he goes. Excellent. Fantastic. So, yes, the French battleships very susceptible to high explosive spam, but also the American battleships tend to be quite susceptible to it as well with their large superstructures. They do have midship deck armor that can shatter it for the most part, but still, it does tend to take its toll. And even with that, even with those characteristics, the questionably accurate guns, the susceptibility to high explosive spam, I still think the Amagi is a good ship. It's got a lot of firepower. It may not be the most consistently accurate firepower that you're ever going to find in this game, but it will certainly do the job. And it does have 1 extra shell versus your average Tier 7 battleship, so you know the old phrase, throw enough stuff at the wall, eventually some of it's going to stick. That applies to this ship. And then the God tier concealment at Tier 7. These things, I think, make the Amagi, to this day, still quite the effective ship. Also, it is a battleship well suited to the kiting battleship playstyle, which, if you can't tell, that is a style of play I enjoy on the battleships because I think it is quite effective. And there aren't many battleships quite as well suited to that playstyle as the Amagi. So, over this rather decent highlight game of the Amagi, I think you get to see this ship in some pretty glorious action. Slick Mick taking the top of the leaderboard there in his destroyer as it should be. And yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. I think I gave you a lot of stuff to comment about in the comments section, so let me know your thoughts. Give the video a like, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.